What's going on, guys? Got another knife review here for you. Today we're going to be looking at the Microtech LCC. LCC stands for Lightfoot Compact Carry. This is a collaboration knife with Greg Lightfoot. Not a custom, and it's actually an old knife. This is a knife that kind of sparked my interest, I'd say midway through my knife collecting years. It was kind of known as the, I don't know, this is from what I read, a kind of like a Grail production knife way back when. If you can see that date on the blade here, 08 of 2000, you know, this is a 15-year-old, over 15-year-old knife now. But back for a lot of the original knife collectors out there, and I don't know who of you is considered one of those guys, but this was a highly sought after knife, way back when. I think nowadays, unless people are totally nostalgic and whatever, it's probably not a knife that's all that popular. And given a number of reasons, I think the first is this is again collaboration with Greg Lightfoot. Greg Lightfoot is a Canadian custom maker, and he actually has a custom LCC. They're actually somewhat smaller than this one, but Greg Lightfoot is just not as popular of a custom maker nowadays as he was maybe like 3-4 years ago. I think his name was a bit more prominent back then. Nowadays, all the Canadian knife makers like Kirby Lambert or Peter Rossetti, John Grimsmo, Brian Ty are. Brian Ty, I feel like, should be more popular than he is, but I feel like they have a bigger name, a bigger presence in the knife community than Greg Lightfoot does. So I think that's one reason. The other reason is just in general for the price that these knives command nowadays. Usually I think the materials aren't as great as what you would get for the price. This one, the LCC has featured so many different variations and materials, whether it's micarta scales or carbon fiber scales. I saw one with aluminum bolsters or like blue Damascus blade, and that's always all the stuff on the presentation. But inside, you basically have some steel standoffs, which are nice and they're kind of polished here, and then you have steel liners, which are skeletonized, so a little bit added weight. And then this is a steel clip, which I think is kind of standard on most of the production Lightfoots or LCCs that are out there. So yeah, kind of like, I don't know, like with those kind of materials, you maybe would be expecting a little bit more of a knife these days. So maybe that's why it's not one that's all that popular. This one features 154 cm for steel, so not a super steel by any stretch of the imagination for these days. Nowadays Microtech is using a lot of, or even Anthony Marfione is using a lot of LMAX in his custom blades, whether it's the Sigil or the Annex or a lot of different blades. The DOC is also LMAX too, and I think it's just an easy steel for Marfione to use and to polish up and to do a lot of his finishes on. But this is, a very, in my opinion, is a very nice knife. It's a very ergonomic knife. It's a 3.5 to 3.65 inch blade, so decent sized blade. It's not a huge belly, so depending on your needs or your preference, I'm personally a fan of Wharncliffe blades right now. So, this could potentially be a nice blade because it's kind of, with that little belly right there, it's not, I don't know, it kind of fits my profile a little bit more. And then it's got this rounded handle. I don't know what to really compare it to, but, relatively just straight and rounded down, almost like a banana knife, maybe like a CQC 8 or Horseman, like that kind of style blade. So it's very ergonomic in hand. The clip does have this kind of sharp notch here, but it doesn't really dig into your hand, not quite like this El Famous, knife that has this crazy clip that will just jab into your hand. Right now it's a little bit. It really depends on where you squeeze. Still will put an imprint on my hand, like right there on the palm. So, but here you can see it against the DOC, you know, with all of its, I don't know, all of its glory, carbon fiber and all these things. You know, the carbon fiber that Marfion uses is, I've never really seen any voids in there, so I'm not sure if he fills up the voids or if he really uses super high quality carbon fiber, but it's always been impressive for me. And then you got size comparison with the large Sabenza, and then here's the Tanto Delta, and then the Dauntless, which I think is somewhat comparable in size to the LCC. So really, again, you know, like with the LCC, this is a design that really floats your boat, then it's definitely one worth checking out. For me, this has always been a collector. It was more about the perceived nostalgia, I guess, if you will, of this knife and kind of the collectability. So it's kind of a shame that I don't use this one. In terms of the finish as well, most of the fit and finish on this knife is really nice. Like I said, it's highly ergonomic, no real hot spots. There's no up and down on this knife. It's, you know, again, strong steel liner. But side to side wise, there's a little bit of wiggle that I can push in there. And I've tried to crank this pivot down, but again, to no avail. So I don't know what that's about. It's not, to me, it's not really worth sending into Microtech to get it all checked out. Runs on phosphor bronze washers here. Again, given that this is a early generation knife, you know, it's pretty basic and all pretty standard. So anyway, that's my quick take on the Microtech LCC. Cool knife for sure, especially as a collector. So if you guys are into that nostalgia stuff, definitely one to check out if you can find it on the secondary market. So, all right, guys, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. As always, you guys take care, and I'll see you on the next vid. Bye.